I'm just saying, if my son, gets caught, like unless he's watching like the old school 70s porn,
Who watches old school 70s porn?
No, nobody.
Weird.
But
What's he doing? Eating popcorn as he watches that shit?
What, on VHS?
I'm saying,
What was it?
Oh, I got a pizza for you.
if he was watching that, I'd say, oh, you know what?
40-year-old porn.
Don't you think that'd be weird?
That's even weirder.
No, bro, it's conventional. It's all like. If he was doing that, I'd say, okay, yeah.
He's into classical porn.
No, not if he's into it.
He's an artist.
No, but I'm saying,
I was just look at porn.
I'm saying, he's dipping his toe in the water. Fair enough.
No, but you don't Google 70s porn.
No 14-year-old is dipping their toe in first 70s.
I promise you.
In the
21st century, these niggas are talking about POV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And listen,
Virtual reality.
Yeah.
VR.
you have to get length then because I'm smashing that thing over your head.
Why?
Because
For watching
don't be
porn.
watching none of that. No. He's like, yes.
It doesn't have to be that far. It
Yeah,
can't
I'm
be
saying.
It
normal
doesn't
porn.
always have to be rapey porn. It can just
BDSM
be
isn't
like,
rapey porn.
No, it's not rapey porn. I'm not saying BDSM is as a category rapey. I'm saying
what if
where somebody says
it's
no.
the one, you know the ones where people are putting like their hands.
Bro,
Fisting.
the porn I
Yeah,
want,
fisting.
the porn I want
I'm
my
gonna
son
have
to
to-
watch
I'm
has to
gonna
be
have to embarrass
conventional.
you.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the only reason why I'm having the conversation.
You couldn't do
Like,
that to
if
your
it's
son.
about-
You couldn't shame your
I'm
son.
I'm like.
I'll define it. I'm
like,
like, okay.
You can't define. You can't tell him what porn is right and wrong.
Yes, I can. He's
No,
my
you
son.
can't. Hold
He's
on,
my
wait.
blood. I can
What
tell him
porn
what
is
his
right or
eyes
wrong?
should
You know what I'm
say.
saying? What porn is right and
He
what
said
porn
it has to be
normal time.
conventional. And I'm
So
like,
what, like
What's conventional porn?
No,
What's
like
Because
Pizza
it's
Man's
all-
here.
it's not about positions. It's not about positions.
Fake
It's not about
taxi.
positions.
So
I
what
get
is
you.
it?
I'm not with rape porn. I'm not with it.
Of
But
course not.
Outside
Yeah.
of that,
Can we all say that, please? We're not with rape porn.
Casting-
No
We're not
one's
with rape
agreeing with
porn.
rape
We're not
porn.
with any children or anything criminal like that. But I'm saying,
Ebony.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying,
Ebony.
look,
Blick.
he needs to be watching. Not he needs to be, but you know what I mean.
is
Like
it-
a,
Why have you got a restriction on that? You watch this porn. You sit there and watch that. I've got some tabs
Why
for
are you
you.
policing
I've made
his
some.
joy?
one porn star, one male or whatever, man. But you know.
Oh, he can't have two females and one male, or two males and one female.
Well,
Please, watch
then
out.
we're dipping two toes in the water, yeah. But
Why?
it's okay.
He can only have
But
man. This guy can only have man and woman
it's when
making love.
it's when the Achilles heel gets wet.
None of that
That I
freezing
need to-
stuff, son.
Yeah.
None of that voyeuristic stuff, son.
Yeah.
Straight when they're like,
No, because you need to iron him out, man. You need to iron him out. Don't do that. I pay for the heating. I pay for the lecky. I pay
If
for
you
the
bring the heat into the argument, we're talking about porn. I'll be like, damn.
You got a problem.
I pay for all of that.
So now you regulate his porn use. He can only watch man and woman, just generic
Straight up.
missionary.
No, you've got a choice. Pay for the broadband, pay for the lecky. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. You're watching that simple bog standard.
You can't stop him.
but what was you watching like, at that age? Like, what's your
He watched all the dark web, and that's why he's like, no, I know what it's like. I know what it's like going down that rabbit hole.
No, but
You got-
I'm
psychologically,
probably gonna be too loose as a parent. I don't care. Like, I'm
bro,
like,
I will regulate your kids for you then.
I'll be like, can you turn it down?
I will regulate.
We have guests.
I'm like,
I don't think I'll have that conversation.
Nah, I'm like, come on, man. You're a bro. You're
It's one of them ones where you know.
Yeah, you're a man.
I know
Listen,
you're doing it.
if you're a
I
man,
did it.
no, if
How
you're a
did it
man,
start
if
the
he
conversation?
turns around and says to me,
So-
Dad,
so,
I'm a man. If he
found
says,
your-
Dad,
you
I'm a
found
man,
your penis?
I say, all right, come down to the dining room.
No.
I want,
Dining
I
room.
want,
People eat there.
I want to show what you've been
Listen.
watching.
I want a 4-point essay why you think you should be allowed to watch the freaky stuff.
You don't earn the freaky stuff.
You give me, if you're a man, justify yourself. Justify yourself.
What if he turns around and says, Dad, I have needs?
No. Wait. He goes, oh, what makes you think you can watch the freaky stuff? He goes, Dad, that's like porn. Because it's all relative. What's freaky?
I punch him in the throat. I punch him in the throat.
Your son can watch whatever porn he wants.
No, you can't. No,
Yes,
you
he
can't.
can.
No,
You can't regulate porn.
I will
'Cause
regulate in my house.
Was your
in my
porn
house.
regulated?
Yeah. No.
What?
No, but like we had, no, but it wasn't so much the porn that was regulated. It wasn't so much the porn that was regulated.
He used to watch that vanilla.
Yeah. He said, yeah.
That's all. What was going on, man? What was going on?
My man had to
Was
just
there
watch.
police? More police coming, knocking. Is that a threesome? Is that a threesome on season?
No. But you know what it was?
Straight one-on-one standard missionary.
No, yeah. If he does that, I say, you know what? My guy's he's becoming a man.
Otherwise,
becoming a man.
This is a problem. Why are you even bothering your kid about it? Like,
you're the one that brought it up. If he watches
if
the
you
freaky stuff and he doesn't get caught, I say, well, I can't say, I can't.
Your
Speak on
issue
it.
is not the freaky
where's the
stuff.
self-respect?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? I actually also believe in respecting children's boundaries. If I know that my child is watching porn, like, I'm probably not gonna be like, yo, so I know you're watching porn. Why am I?
Porn's such a big category. If
Only
God
if
forbid,
he's watching
God forbid,
illegal
but
stuff.
God
Only
forbid,
if he's watching illegal
here's-
stuff, then.
here's-
if your son said,
here's the
Dad,
thing.
I like porn that involves animals, you're gonna say,
That's a problem. That's illegal.
are you gonna be sitting there cool with it?
No, that's illegal.
Yeah, but that's still porn. That's still porn.
You went from 2 girls and 1 man. You went from 2 girls and 1 man.
You went from Bishop, please.
That's still porn, bruv. It's
No,
whether
but
it's
what I'm
illegal or
saying
not.
is, you said you wouldn't allow 2 girls and 1 man, but you would allow.
I
you
never
would
said
allow
I
animals.
wouldn't. I never said I wouldn't allow
You
2
just
girls
want
and 1 man.
one-on-one.
At 14 years old, if he's watching 2 girls and 1 man, I say, son, that's too much for you. You're 14.
That's too much. When do you earn the right?
When you get like about 17, 18,
He's not gonna
when I
come
know
to
you can handle, like when you can handle yourself, yeah, then I say, okay, well, he's stepping up his game.
What do you mean handle himself? Like,
You know what I mean? I'm talking about handling himself.
What do you mean handling
Handling
himself?
himself. Handling himself. Handling himself. You know, when he's there and he's like, yo, and he's talking to girls. Not when he's there 14. He's like,
14-year-olds are talking to girls, by the way.
nah, but not the 14-year-old. They're not talking to girls.
Yeah, they are.
They really
No.
Yes, they are.
No, they're talking, but they're not talking.
It be like that, bro. Listen,
I'm saying
Come to Ashford.
their moves.
Come to Ashford.
They-
How are you regulating your
moves
child?
of
You
the
are
14
not.
The moves of 14-year-old, the moves
Sorry,
of 14-year-old
can I
guys.
just ask?
Wait, one sec.
Yeah.
What do you want to ask?
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you think it just makes sense in terms of conversations with your children to?
Oh, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna
I was
start the
gonna
show.
say, you know, like when you have conversations as normal, yeah, like you talk about porn.
I was just gonna start the
Sure.
show.
Okay,
Sure.
cool.
I
Yeah.
agree with this.
Welcome back to Chatting and Thoughtfish. I'm Andrew, and I'm joined with Mandala.
Yes, hi guys.
Yeah, Mansor.
Hello.
Moses.
Hey.
Do you want to say anything?
These views are my own and not representative of that of the BBC.
There we are. Terms and conditions apply. Probably someone that's going to go in. So what I'm going to say is, you probably heard some things at the start of the episode. So I don't really need to even start the episode. Let's go, Mandela. We were talking about porn.
Yeah,
we were talking about children consuming porn and when are they allowed to consume porn, essentially, as a parent. If you caught them on, for instance, a Chromecast that got played downstairs and you had to kind of sort a situation out with, confront them about the situation, or would you even confront them about the situation? As you probably heard, some of the things, Mansor don't agree with it. And we want to know what Mandela was saying.
I was saying, in general, I think parents and children need to have open conversations about different things, relationships, what's normal, what's not normal. We need to talk about the media and the portrayal of relationships from the media and the actual realistic relationships. However, I don't think it's necessary to kind of approach your children about pornography. In a situation where you catch your child and in a situation when you catch your child, let's say, for the instance that we're talking about, it's a Chromecast and it's being played downstairs, then obviously, you know, preserve your child's dignity, but you know what I mean, have a conversation with them. Like,
there's no right and wrong porn to catch them flipping.
I don't think so. Like, you cannot, unless it's illegal, or if it's something that generally may skew the view of society and make your child a bit predatory, then yeah, you get involved. But otherwise, you know, just bash the door and just be like, guy, your thing is playing downstairs, and you don't have a conversation about it again.
Yeah, Mansor wants his child to watch 70s porn with just man and woman.
No, can I just say something?
I'd have a conversation about it.
Mandla,
Yeah.
you're my guy. I got a lot of love for you. But the tone changed when the show started. Yeah, I never heard anything about media depictions and stuff like this. Yeah, the conversation was a lot different.
You mentioned fisting and all things.
I believe. Of course, you need to have a discussion.
Why you? By the way, your tone changed.
Yeah, your tone has changed as well.
People are gonna know your tone changed.
Level of
Some people going in.
hypocrisy,
Some people.
Come with the same energy.
Guys,
Yeah, come on, the same energy.
Guys,
Why would you not let your child consume certain porn?
Because we mentioned the age of 14. Yeah, so 14 is a very
It's a time to as people
it's
don't usually watch
an
it.
age of
Hormones
it's an age.
Hormones are doing
Everyone has data
Lads,
on their phone
lads,
at this point.
Lads.
Sorry, let him talk.
I'm the one with the controversial view, apparently. So you have to let me.
Go on.
Finish.
Defend yourself.
Yeah. 14 is an age of where the mind is processing. It's vulnerable. It's growing. I believe that there are certain types of porn which you might not consider extreme, but for a 14-year-old, I would pull them up on it.
Such as.
Yeah.
Well,
Please elaborate.
Anything that's outside of what is considered general
anything that's
lovemaking.
outside of something considered conventional.
So, like.
So I'm
give
saying,
some
so how
examples.
do you define what
I
is
just want to hear
conventional?
some examples. Like, what would you pull them up on?
Well, for
Categories.
example, I'm not going to go into the specific categories
You know
because
categories. You know
Mandela
because you watch the freaky stuff.
Mandela mentioned certain terms which in themselves are too broad they need definition, and he didn't define them, and it would
You
be
didn't define them?
You didn't define
Do
them.
not ever throw me.
Legal, for example, legal. You use the term legal. Legality differs cross-nationally.
So are you not familiar with any category that you would limit?
That's what I'm trying to get to.
And the thing,
yeah.
So, for example,
So just
if-
throwing him under the bus now. I'm just saying, if my lad,
my lad, my
The thing
lad.
is, you're acting like a person that has never consumed porn in any shape or form. That's how you're acting right now, because you know there's categories. Now, just I'm saying, there's some categories where you're.
I may know, maybe.
There's some categories out there where you're saying that you wouldn't want your child to click on.
there are certain things.
Yeah. Now,
Like-
Moses asked you, like what?
unconventional things that are
What's
unconventional.
There's no.
unconventional?
Well,
There's no category.
let me
What is
finish.
unconventional?
Let
Let
me
him answer,
finish.
let
Let
him
me
answer.
finish.
Go on, I wanna hear.
Unconventional is anything that is outside of the sphere of what the majority of relationships are like in society.
Okay, now.
Wow.
Now
That's
you-
unconventional. Of course, that's
90% of porn.
Okay.
No.
Now
Well,
tell me,
listen.
okay, politics, except for the 70s stuff,
So it
apparently.
needs to be.
for a 14-year-old. We're talking for a
So what must
14-year-old.
it be? Slow, soft porn?
Yeah, what porn can they consume?
Listen, I'm not a porn
Yeah.
director, guys. I'm not a
you
porn
don't have to be the
director. I'm
director.
not.
We're talking about
I'm
the
not Hugh
categories.
Hefner.
Mansoor.
I'm
Stop
saying
being a
anything
politician.
outside
First and
of.
foremost.
Listen. If there's for example, if there's a porn star and there's a male actor,
He knows these. He knows
for
their
example,
names as
for
been a
example,
politician
and
right
let's
now.
say they were doing what they were doing, and my son was watching that, I'd be less worried than
So
if
like
they.
Mandingo
then
and
if-
Layla Fox, if they're doing it, that's fine.
So you're
You've got
saying
those names.
you're saying
You've
a
got
man-
those names, my brother. You've got those names.
I've got the names.
But
I've
what
got-
I am saying
Yes.
is, if my son is watching a woman get violated by 14 men,
Is it
I
violated?
believe that's damaging.
Hold
I
on,
believe that's
you
damaging.
used that wrong word.
I believe
Hold on,
that's.
hold on.
I
You
believe.
just
No,
said
wait.
violated.
Let me finish. I believe that is damaging to a 14-year-old who doesn't yet know how to process and respect women. They're seeing a woman. You might be able to.
Don't say you.
You might be able to cognitively
finger.
comprehend. Okay, this is a scenario where there's a woman and there's loads of different men, and stuff is happening. You, because you are a decent person, might be able to know. Well, this woman is actually a woman. She's an actor. She deserves respect. She deserves this, that, and the other. And women deserve respect and stuff like this. A 14-year-old doesn't think like that. So if a 14-year-old was watching a variant of pornography, I would absolutely be concerned, as opposed to if they were watching a video, a clip where there is a more conventional setup.
Okay, in the conventional setup, a man and woman, unconventional things always happen. They can still always happen.
And
so
then-
how can you,
then we-
how
then
can you
the-
say no? So that means, what do you determine as the conventional? Is it like a? Do you see like a movie scene where they kind of make love in a bed and then just cuddle up? Is that how you see the porn? That anybody consumes? Does anybody consume that porn, or do they just watch Game of Thrones?
Then we're getting into the specifics of whatever clip we're talking about, and you could give me a million and different scenarios, which I could say, yep, hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss.
But I think the majority will be myth because
lot- I
listen, listen.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So actually, I think
Not really.
I
For
think
example,
no, hold on. We've given you the floor. Basically,
Man.
what I think no, dude, listen, right? I think we need to have a complete agreement. Like, this is not a porn consuming zone. Do you know what I mean? You don't want your child thinking that it's okay for you to watch porn, blah 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 blah. So therefore, if they're 14. I don't think we can be talking about what's conventional porn or what's allowed or not allowed. Is it just a man and a woman? And you said a woman who's being violated. No, actually, I beg to differ. It's a woman who's consenting to sexual activity with 14 different men.
Of course, the woman is consenting. Of course, the woman is consenting. But in the scenario, she might be getting violated.
But why?
Because in the scenario where she's being played out,
accepted, she has consented.
If she has consented,
she's playing a script. She's playing pornography is essentially a script.
That's neither here nor there.
And
as an actress, she's agreed to it.
You can't possibly say
she has agreed to it.
But my 14-year-old son,
You should not be encouraging your 14-year-old.
My brother, let me talk.
I hadn't finished. You shouldn't be encouraging your 14-year-old to be watching porn in the first place.
I'm not encouraging.
So
I'm not
encouraging. At the end of the day, if you realize that your 14-year-old is watching porn, then you need to have a realistic conversation.
Well, that's another
with your
story.
child.
No,
that bit I agree with.
No, wait, that's another story. Wait,
To
to be honest, I don't think it's fair to say it's wrong to consume porn. I don't think that's a thing because
I didn't say
no
it's
one's
wrong
saying
to
that
consume
here.
porn. I said I think in your household it should be an assumption. It should be a base assumption
that they're not watching.
That we do not watch porn. It's not like you don't sit with your children and go, let's watch porn together.
Well, of course not. That could be considered quite illegal.
So therefore, I feel
Come on, son. Pull up a seat. It's a Friday night.
I feel like, hey, different strokes for different folks. But what I'm saying is, right? So actually, the assumption should be that actually we do not consume porn. We have conversations about real relationships, etc., etc. So in the instance that you catch your porn bashing his meat to porn, you're not exactly going to be like, do you know what I'm saying? You can't talk about conventional, non-conventional.
Yeah.
Your 14-year-old potentially shouldn't actually be having access to
I
those
think the only
things.
thing. I think the only thing that you should put.
Do you get what I'm saying?
No, but you've
so
got
whether it's a woman and a man and a man, a fist, whatever. Like it's neither here nor there. The conversation needs to be about what's real and what's not. You should,
Of course, but let me go back.
Well,
Because a lot of the stuff.
Shush,
no, but I know because
shush.
Man, put something to me, and I need to answer.
I wish you had.
Wait, everyone gets an
even.
even table on the floor. Moses, what are you
I
gonna
just
say?
have to bring back before we got into it. The words were, I would smash the laptop over his head.
Yeah.
Like his tone has changed.
Yeah.
A lot.
And now we're talking about.
Yeah. I just had to bring that one back in there.
His linguistics says that he's
you
giving
can
a
carry on,
thesis. You're speaking as though you're giving a thesis.
I was smashed.
Have the same energy as you had before.
Carry on,
No, I do have the same energy as I had
You'd
before.
smash the laptop over his head.
No.
Tell him you don't pay the heating, so you have to
No. Listen. We have to shed light on certain things that I said.
Agency.
Yeah. When we're talking about the woman with the 14 men, yeah.
Oh, the one who's consenting, yes.
You said she's consenting.
Yes.
You're right. She is consenting. Mm-hmm. But in the scene, in the script, she's maybe not consenting. She's playing a role where she's not fully. She is consenting, but she's not fully
Mansor's
consenting.
defense,
If she's playing a subjugatory role.
In Mansor's defense,
I mean.
in his defense, I see a way in terms of like, if your 14-year-old was consuming a porn where there's a girl,
gangbang.
I mean, just a general idea of sex and lovemaking or whatever, it could warp their sense of. I mean, people say,
I do agree with that.
Wait, people say that their kids, like for instance, like porn is affecting relationships, especially with teenagers. They're trying to do things that they see in that, which is just not real sex or whatever. So in that way, that is like there is some level where it's like you really wish your child wasn't seeing this, but in another angle, I don't think there's a way that you can possibly say in terms of any porn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any porn is a realistic standard of sex or lovemaking, which means that any porn that you're
Apart from amateur. Just saying.
okay,
Apart from like actually.
yeah.
I mean, come on.
No.
No, like, I mean, apart from like,
but it's true, like someone with a video camera. Yeah, someone with a video camera that films themselves.
Oh, as in like they're not actually.
They're not stars.
As in it's an actual couple who.
Yeah, that will just film themselves with a stationary camera somewhere. Yeah, something like that.
Home videos.
Yeah.
Home videos, yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but even that kind of even that kind of stuff is like they probably might be doing something for the camera.
True.
So it's not to say that we can have a realistic standard of sex based on what we see being filmed.
I agree.
Now, the issue that comes from that is there's no level of porn you can possibly say is, okay, that one I will allow you to watch. That one I won't allow you to watch. Because all of it's unrealistic. So you can't say man, woman. You can have just man and woman.
That's a really, really good point.
What says man and woman? What says man and woman? Man doesn't do something mad to woman.
That's a really good point which you make. That actually porn is a hypersexualized arena, and that none of it is necessarily realistic if we're talking from the perspective of sexual relations. That's true. About the comment where I said I'd smash the laptop
You have to come back
over my son's head, yeah?
Yeah.
Can I just say, if my son was watching on a continuum, because nothing is really binary in these conversations, on a continuum, there are things...
watching you in space porn.
Hang on a minute. I
think he's talking about like...
there's the conventional and the less conventional and the bookie, yeah? So...
Mad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you reach a certain point on that continuum, and if you are sloppy enough, if your execution enough has been poor enough that it's on the Chromecast and I'm watching it when I wanted to watch
EastEnders.
well, something.
Yeah.
Bake Off, British Bake Off.
British Bake Off.
I'd be fiction.
Bun that,
I'm
man.
just,
No.
I'm just trying to see cakes.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing cakes.
Then I have to come to you. I have to say, boy.
Give me your laptop.
Give me the laptop, smash it on his head, come out my house, I pay for the heating.
And if he turns around and says to me, Dad, I'm a man. And I need to watch this stuff.
I need to
watch this. Remember, we're talking about a 14-year-old boy. If we're talking about a 25-year-old guy that's living with his parents still, could be a different scenario. 14-year-old boy. I have to say, listen, boy, come here. You tell me why you think you're a man enough.
I think your confrontation with your son will mess him up more.
Yeah.
Because you can't. If I
It's
get caught, the thing
ridiculous.
like if I got
It's
caught
ridiculous.
watching porn, my first set is I'm embarrassed that I got caught watching porn. I do not need to grill me on the fact that I watched porn.
You imagine.
He drew first blood.
Your parents.
He
I'm
drew first
torn.
blood.
Your
He
parents-
drew first
I'm
blood. He
torn.
came and he turned
You
around to me and he
didn't
said,
know.
I'm a
just
man,
become
Dad.
aware
No.
that you're watching porn. Like, you probably want the ground to open up and swallow you. So
Yeah,
actually, the
you don't
last
want-
thing that
maybe.
you probably
Is your dad to come in?
Yeah,
I
do
wouldn't
you
want
know
to
what I
come.
mean?
You wouldn't come. I wouldn't come out straight away. I'll do something like I'll be like, oh,
I'll text
turn
you.
off your phone.
Turn
Yeah.
your bumper clock phone off.
and that's it.
I can
I'm
see
not,
what you're
and
watching.
I know he's not going to want to see me. Yeah.
Good tack.
Yeah.
Good tack.
But you
And
want to
that
come
kid's-
back.
you know the
wanna
cat's
come
not
in.
coming downstairs. You're not coming down.
Yeah,
Dinner
He's
is
gonna come in a room with his willy set out, bro.
He's coming
His willy set out,
upstairs.
bro.
He's coming to the room, and I feel like there's no need for that.
Hang on.
I agree. Can I say something?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think like it's different because I guess we're the last of the analog, innit? We're the last of Channel Bravo. No, what is it? Trouble turned into Bravo and becoming like etc. and stuff
Or
like
Babe
that.
Station.
Yeah.
and
You know
all
what I mean?
that.
And all that stuff. We
No.
didn't grow up with Pornhub. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
being able to be access to a phone. So my thing is like knowing that when I have kids, I'm just gonna accept, like
They're gonna be
what
watching.
you think
going
that-
I mean,
to
'cause
watch.
think
But I
about
gotta-
it.
like,
We consumed
they're
it in
going to
secondary
be-
school when we got
they
data on
are
our
going
phone.
to be
So, yeah.
susceptible to
Yeah.
seeing something.
So my thing
whether,
is-
whether voluntarily
Yeah.
or
You got it in. Remember the
Or by
teardrop
proxy.
Nokias when
Yeah,
people used to
yeah,
send
yeah.
videos around.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, before they even reach 14, I'm gonna have that conversation.
Of course.
And this
Yeah,
is-
I second
agree.
that.
But do you have that? No, but do you have that?
This is what my main point
Wait, let
was.
Moses-
that
let
we
Moses
need to
finish,
have-
let Moses
No, but
finish.
you're saying you second it, but why didn't you say no? I
Wait, let
second it.
Moses
You need to
finish.
comment- Go on.
No, I hear you. I
Coming
think
for
for
me.
me,
It's
it's like
ridiculous.
I
I'm
wouldn't.
coming for you because
I guess my opinion may be different from the way I grew up, and I don't think my parents were like. They were quite liberal thinking about it. I know they knew one girl I did it, but they never like.
They never had that word,
You know
did
what I
you?
mean? But
Yeah.
I think I'd probably be that weird hippie at dad. It's like, look, son, it's 20 whatever. This is what's out there. Let me at least inform you what's real and what's not real.
I don't
Do
want
you get
to.
me?
I don't think you need
I
to have
would.
those conversations unless they ask you about these.
No, I
conversations.
think
No, you
I
should be
think-
preemptive.
I
You should
think
be
they should be
preemptive.
preemptive.
Because then, what age do
I
you preempt?
absolutely
What
agree
age
with
do you
that.
preempt your
As soon
child
as
with
I can
watching
give him
porn?
a phone.
Well, this is
Yeah,
the thing.
exactly.
As soon as
9
I
years
can give
old.
him a phone.
Exactly.
9 years old.
Sadly, that's my
it
I
is-
think
it
9
isn't-
might be too
no,
early.
It's,
No,
it's,
no,
but
no.
It's not.
Moses
Guys,
is right.
We are dealing with a really high epidemic of young men who've got limp dick because of their excessive use of pornography.
Right.
People who are not able to enter real life relationships because of pornography. People who cannot speak to members of the opposite sex because of pornography. So actually, it is important. Like, it's a real
But
thing.
did you have those
Let's
conversations with
let's
your family?
So here's the thing.
And
Here's
do you
the
feel
thing,
like it
here's the thing,
affected
Here's
you?
the thing. This goes beyond just pornography, but like in terms of relationships and relations, there wasn't that conversation. And actually, I grew up in a very conservative Christian household that used God as the center of all the no's, rather than actually explaining to your children the realities of life. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, people don't know about STIs and all of that when it comes to actual like real life sex and being susceptible or vulnerable to adult child relationships. Do you know what I'm saying? Like things that could actually put a child in danger And actually, when I look in hindsight, I could have ended up in a lot of danger. So therefore, I'm not going to do that to my children. I owe it to myself, as uncomfortable as it might be. Well, it won't be because I'm quite liberal. But like, no matter what, it's important to have those conversations with your children. If you're going to give your child an iPhone, regardless what version, and let's say they're 9 years old, the idea is you're given a phone to be able to communicate. The fact of the matter is they've got access to the World Wide Web. So actually, from chat rooms all the way to porn, to all the different interactions that you can have in the virtual world, it's important to have those conversations with your child. So 9 years old isn't too young, because Twitter, for example, is unencrypted. So for example,
post anything
if
on there.
I've got blocks in the house to say that you cannot access adult content in the house, if they've got Twitter, they can access it.
Okay, I don't think no, but this is why
at the
I
end
don't
of the
think.
day, this is why I think it's important to preempt these conversations and have them, and have your children know that, guys, look, this is the reality of the world. This is what's out there.
I agree with that.
And this is how you should safeguard yourself.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I think it's easy saying no, but I think it's easy to say like, this is how you safeguard yourself. But it's another thing when the child actually takes it upon themselves. You can say that all you want, but it doesn't mean that they might not see something.
But
The
you've done
thing
your
is,
part.
But have you done your part?
No, but you have, because you've given the information. Listen, as I'm saying to you, they have the access. Even if you have blockades, they have the access. If they want to see it, they will.
But could that
access
not
it.
tempt them as well? What when you first give them their phone and they just like, okay, they just have their phone.
I'm
But
not
what
saying,
do
here you go,
but
here's your
what
phone,
do you-
there's a
what-
thing called
no,
porn.
No, what do you no? But I'm saying, what do you say? There's stuff on the internet that you might see that like.
No,
blah,
I just
blah,
be
blah.
honest. I just be
Just
real,
be
man.
honest.
Because
You know
it's
what?
like
What's
this is-
real? I want to know
I'll
what's
tell
real.
you, I'll
Okay,
tell you.
Go on.
okay.
Go on.
So my thing would be like, look, you're getting your phone now. There's some things, unfortunately, I would like to have a conversation with you at a later date. But the way the world is, I need to have it with you early, because I don't want you to be seeing a version of the world you may think is real and it's not. So let's talk about, say, sex, for example. You're going to see a lot of porn because I can't block you from it. Do you get me? That's the reality.
What's porn?
This is
Okay,
good. This
cool.
is good.
No, wait,
I
wait,
like
wait,
this.
yeah,
but
what,
there's
I'm asking, what's porn?
Porn. Okay, porn is an industry, an adult entertainment industry, where a lot of the time it's fictional narrative, fictional scenes, fictional sets of adult entertainers having sex for consumption. And you could be the consumer, I could be the consumer. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily a reflection of real sex. And then you can go into as deep as
Okay,
you want
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I would do. It may be uncomfortable, it may be a bit weird, but I'd sooner... I think, fortunately, again, we're speaking on a period of time where we were we didn't have as much access. I'm not saying we didn't see
We
it.
probably had the access more when we were in
When we were a bit older, you know what I'm
that's when
saying?
data on phones. and-
Exactly. We didn't have it at 9.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, as
The
much
3G
as I'd love
the 3G
to say...
phones, innit? 3G
Yeah.
phones gave
How
us.
old were we when LimeWire came out?
You were getting, but you weren't. I
You
don't
was
think you
getting
were
porn
seeing.
on LimeWire.
You could, but it was hard though. Broadband. I'm not saying it could have happened, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not as easy as you've got a phone.
I just-
right now, I can access it. Like,
Yeah,
so
immediately.
it wasn't that. So that's why I'm
Immediately,
like,
yeah.
as much as I want to be idealistic and say let kids be kids, it's a bit
Life
ignorant
is in
on
5G
me.
right now, so you have to.
Yeah,
you have
it's
to be
ignorant
on
on
top
me
of this
because
thing.
I'm like, they can
Yeah.
access it quicker than probably I can. So I can't. That's the thing. I think that's the reality of being an adult and having kids. It's like the reality is you can't stop them from doing anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All you can do is help them mentally and be like, this is the reality. If you want to go run and be loose, when you have a kid, this is the reality. You're going to have to pay this bill, blah, blah, blah. If you just say, don't have sex, God won't love you. But, huh? What?
Yeah.
That
Of
don't
course,
work.
that
You know what I
doesn't
mean?
work.
God,
Yeah,
as,
yeah,
an,
yeah.
as an excuse to answer the no's, does
Yeah.
not actually
If
give
you say-
the child the adequate
Yeah.
information as to the consequences
Exactly.
of certain things. Do you
If
get what
I
I'm saying?
say
So
I don't want
yeah.
you to watch porn because it's bad, that's
Yeah.
not really helping.
It
I'm
doesn't
gonna
make
be like,
sense.
I don't want you to watch porn because at your age, your brain's still developing. One, you're gonna see an unfair and unrealistic reality of what you might think sex is too. Also, when you do get into the age where you should be having sex and enjoying it, it might mess you up.
And
It
4, you
change
might
your
get a laptop
sensitive-
over your head.
And then now you're homeless.
And now you ain't got no lighting.
But
bro.
can I just say something? Can I
Yeah.
just say something?
Yeah.
The tone of the conversation has changed somewhat, and it's actually really good because there's nothing here that anybody said that I don't disagree with.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for the laptop.
But listen.
No.
There's another point which has been missing, and I think that is that we have to talk about it's not a single discussion to be had.
Yeah.
It's a continuous.
It's a continuous. Yes.
And the discussion to have with kids about porn is not only a continuous discussion, but it's a discussion to have from multiple angles. So we are talking about something, for example, like sexual performance. We're talking about the way women are portrayed. There's so many different dimensions. I think modern day parenting has to take into consideration that it's not a single discussion to have when you turn 9 or 10 or 14 or 16.
And the porn industry is evolving as well, so you have to keep up with that.
Yeah, it's a discussion to have. It's a discussion.
No, but you
to
do
have.
with the VR stuff and all that. It's mad, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's right, and it's a discussion to have
now
until
you're
that.
like, why don't you ever leave your room?
Exactly.
And my girlfriend's here.
Exactly, my goggles on.
It's a
You just come in,
discussion.
his pants are down, and he don't know you're there, bro.
It's a discussion to have until.
That's even worse. That's even worse.
It's a discussion to have until that child becomes an adult and can actually hold those views, express those views, and carry out those views and actions themselves. At that point, you don't need a laptop over your head.
It's a smile he's got anything when he said
Full
that.
stop.
This laptop over the head, bro.
I just think the laptop should not be going over the child's head.
That's it.
And you paid for
First
that
of all,
laptop too.
You paid for. Thank you.
That's
Do you
what
know
I'm saying.
I'm like, I'm not mashing up the things I bought for you just because.
Listen.
you're using them to do.
If
Because you
I
have needs.
if I get you a £500 laptop,
Yeah.
and if I'm stopping you watching some unconventional stuff, and I'm getting good grandkids later on in the future, I will roof that £500. Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
So, bro.
You can't stop him. Bro.
It's worth it. Cost effectiveness, guys. Cost
Someone's
effectiveness.
ready to lash people with laptops.
Don't say
Cost effectiveness. That's what we have to be talking about here.
Yeah.
Right then.
I think let's not break our children just because of them being human. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No.
It's this is what I'm saying. And beyond that, this is
But
what
we
I'm
know
saying,
when your kid, you know.
when you're having these conversations with them, do you know what I mean? I actually think I'm going back to the scenario. My child is on Chromecast. You know what I mean? And it's playing downstairs instead of in his room alone. Whatever. I'm dropping him a text. I already know he's going to be embarrassed. I'm actually not going to make him feel ashamed to have natural fleshly desires.
Can I just say
I'm
something?
not going to penalize my child for having an investigative mind or intrigue or anything like that. Do you get what I'm saying? And actually, if you do that, you don't know the way that you might stunt your child's confidence.
Sure.
The way that you might
You could traumatize them fully.
like in terms of your relationship with them. Do you know what I mean? That could actually close so many doors, meaning that your child is now more susceptible to more things externally than what is acceptable. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, for example, parents of my generation, my mum probably thinks even this view is like crazy and it's too free and it's too loose. But at the end of the day, we are living in an ever evolving time and it's evolving faster than we can even think. And we owe it to ourselves to be able to be on top of the ball and keep relationships with our children that mean that we know exactly what's happening and what they're going through.
I can get on board with
Yeah.
everything you've said.
So actually, I do think like, you know, kind of having like a really dramatic kind of in engagement with them about what's just happened might just actually close more doors than necessary. Do you know what I mean?
This is true.
And actually, for a very long period of time, there's always been a specified view of Western parenting, and traditionally it was seen as white parenting because they were the ones that were in the West, but now we've got so many generations of people of color that are living in the West, and we understand the differences, do you know what I mean, between being able to have effective communication with your children, whereas people who are living maybe in the East or in Africa, do you know what I mean, they've got a very authoritarian relationship with their child, and that would include having, you know, really huge altercations with your children, confrontations with your children, but actually the facts are there. If you engage with your children, you've got an open relationship with your children where communication is fluid, you actually get better results, and actually you might get compliant children, you know, because parents in the East or in Africa think that their children are obedient because they've got certain harsh rules, they've got certain harsh mentalities. What it just means is that, for example, I'm a child from Africa, do you know what I mean? Like, I had a very good way of hiding things from my parents. So while my mum could describe me to be an obedient and well-behaved child, I had a way of hiding things from my parents. And actually, because of that, I could have put myself in situations where I'm more in danger than actually if I had a liberal parent who could, you know,
You can speak to.
I hear you.
yeah, and
I hear
inform
you.
me. So it's something worth, you know, considering. Do you know what I mean?
There's-
Before you actually just go into the room, blast, you're watching porn.
No,
Do
no,
you know
no,
what
no,
I
no.
mean?
But I agree with everything.
All right, you got one more thing to say.
Let me
before
say,
we wrap up?
yeah.
And we're gonna move on.
This is really important because everything you said, I agree with.
Yeah.
There needs to be a relationship of consensus rather than coercion,
Yeah.
rather than corporal punishment or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're assuming that your child will be embarrassed. Now, we all know today that the nature of childhood is changing. The nature of children's relationships with one another are changing. The nature of society is changing. The nature of pornography is changing. I'm saying to you, in a situation where my child is not embarrassed, you have to put your foot down. You assume your child is embarrassed. Have you seen some of these kids today? These 14-year-olds that don't even look like 14-year-olds who are hypersexualizing themselves. You don't know if they're going to be embarrassed. You are assuming that they will be embarrassed. And I'm saying to you, that is an assumption that is dangerous to make because pornography, actually, the more mainstream it gets to undeveloped minds, to minds that are developing, I think the less embarrassed you'll see children to be in the future.
Yeah.
And then you need to be a bit harder.
So, yeah, I do think that naturally in the home, your child shouldn't think, oh, I can do this and there'll be no repercussions. Do you get what I mean? This is the reason why I said there should be an assumption within the house. Ideally within the house that, do you know what I mean? We do not consume these things. However, in the instance that we've gone past this assumption and it's a reality, there's ways in which we should engage with our children.
All right.
I agree.
All right, cool. Let's move on. So, I think Channel 4 made a little. They made a show that's a bit ridiculous.
Yep.
Again.
No, we have shows like Wife Swap and
Yeah.
when it's just about putting two different things together and then mix matching and see what happens. Hit or miss. Channel 4 have recently launched a show called The British Tribe Next Door, where essentially they put the family from Gogglebox. I hate that show anyway. When people are literally just watching people watch TV and react to it. So that's just a lazy concept to me anyway. But then they have this family from Gogglebox and they built their house in this tribe's area. And they just basically, it's about them basically swapping cultures, getting involved with each other's cultures. And I don't know what the idea out of this is trying to be in terms of, what would you say? Like they're trying to make it seem like, oh, let's see how two cultures collide, maybe, or maybe they can learn from each other, essentially.
So,
but I just,
yeah.
to me personally, I just think this is another way of just looking at certain people as savages and the other people living civilized lives. That's all I see. I think it's always going to be a myth.
Yeah.
I think it's racial insensitive.
I mean, I haven't watched it. I've just seen like a few articles and stuff. So it's like, yeah, you know, I don't like to kind of judge things before I've seen it, but I feel pretty confident in this one, to be honest. Where like this doesn't. Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I think there's so many things to unpack with it. I'm like, hang on. You went and built a house in a traditional village.
Yeah.
You built a British house.
Yeah, they built their house.
What was wrong with taking British people and just letting them live
in
how
that
they
world.
live? You know what I mean?
This is my point of view. If the Moffat family decided that they wanted to go to Namibia and go and experience life in the village on an anthropological perspective to learn the traditions and the customs
It's also about the family going to their
indigenous,
place as well.
right, of the indigenous, that's not a problem. But what they've actually done is put a Western home, you know, something that would be viewed as a necessity to the people in the Western world, and something that would mean that, you know, you are advanced, etc., etc. This tribe lived their lives day to day very normally, very happily. And actually what you find, as I've actually watched the program, and I found that a lot of inconsistencies in what makes us confident were highlighted. For example, Scarlett Moffat couldn't take her top off because we hypersexualize things in the West, right? Where I come from, in Africa, you know, we do not see boobs as something that is sexual. They're just merely mammary glands, you know. these women have got their breasts out, and that's very normal. She couldn't get her breasts out because, well, actually, she's got her view from here.
But
do,
my
do,
problem,
do you get what I'm saying?
no,
But like, what I found really funny is the people. She did attempt to engage with them and make friends with them, and that was the huge purpose behind it. But I feel like putting up a British-based structured home in these people's land.
Proper
I
British
want
house.
to.
Yeah,
I
it's
want
their
to know.
house.
It's a British
I
house.
want
With Wi-Fi and
to
everything.
know who thought that was a good
Do you know what?
idea.
No,
Because
okay,
what
do you know-
message does it?
Do you know what? Okay, this
bring
is
out?
what I think their message was trying to do, or even they'll probably say they'll defend it as. They'll say that the message is to show that like, oh no, two cultures can come together where they're learning from each other's culture. It shows that people can get along in terms of no matter where culture you come from. Where I think comes out of this, it kind of sets it sets black people back in terms of people seeing us as savages, in terms of
Primitive.
in terms of like these tribes live this way, but when you put it there's their block house there, and then there's bits where they will come in, because I see an image of like one of the tribe women ironing with the woman, like the woman showing her to iron.
Yeah.
That makes it look like, oh, this savage doesn't know how to iron, and
But
it's
the
just
thing
like,
is,
oh, what is this
they
kind
do,
of
they
that
do
kind
iron.
of thing.
They actually use coal heated cast
Yeah, but when
iron.
no, but
to
think about it. No, but when you see,
they go and fetch water at the like deep in the ground. But here's the thing.
But
this
one thing,
house-
when you see
this
something
house
like
has this house has got running water that's coming from the taps. I find the whole thing to be completely disrespectful, and it goes against the natural synergy of the people of the land. There's nothing wrong with going to learn how people do it. There's nothing wrong with integrating
No, this is what I'm
different
saying, it's
levels of culture, but I feel like the way in which they've done it, the setup in which they've done it is so disrespectful because it makes the people seem primitive.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It
Like, if
makes-
you have an iron
Yeah.
and then you have someone using a rock, and then people don't know these cultures, they're gonna be like, look at these people using the rock. It's like it makes them look. It just makes them look like you don't know how to use
Yeah.
Western technology. Like you're not civilized.
I'm
And-
not gonna lie to you. In a time where the climate is really, really rife, do you know what I mean? It's really bad in terms of culture, gender, color, all of those things. It is not the right narrative to be showing, as far as I'm concerned. And there's a way in which they could have done it that's more sensitive, which would have shown the exact same family learning and engaging from these people, living in homes that are like theirs. It's a little bit more humble. And a little bit less arrogant. Do you know what I mean? It was. I find it so offensive and so disrespectful that they'll do it. And actually, once again, there weren't people from Namibia in the room to make those decisions. I don't believe there weren't enough black people to say, well, actually, this is going to be offensive and this is not going to make sense. And once again, if you see all the conversations that we keep having, from when we're talking about H&M, the jumper with the little boy who's black, it's very evident that in the boardrooms of these places, there are not enough representations of ourselves who say, well, actually, this is not right. This is not going to make sense. I read an article that said that there were a few people who did voice up and say, actually, when you do this, I don't think you're going to be met really well. Do you know what I mean? So you've got all of these different ignorant white families that are now watching an English home in the middle of Africa, right? Having all the gizmos and gadgets that they've got, which... You know, I wouldn't even, whether it's privilege, whether it's whatever, do you know, you're more technologically advanced. But actually, do you know what? These people are content. They're happy. They're comfortable. You've come to learn their ways. Come and learn their ways. If you come with that prototype of your own home and the gizmos and gadgets, it actually already puts yourself on a pedestal. You know, and already you're going to, you know, even when you see this girl coming home and going, oh my God, mom, have you seen how they do this and that? It's not in a way where she's trying to actually engage with it properly. It's like you're almost talking about coming from the zoo and what you've seen the animals do. I think it's insensitive and it could be revised. It's not completely a bad program altogether, but I think it is very insensitive to have it in the way that they've set it out.
Yeah,
I think they did it on purpose, to be honest, because just my quick point, I'm not in with it. I'll watch it, maybe, but we'll see. But,
I'll watch it maybe.
no, because I
You're
don't
gonna-
like
you're
to
gonna watch
say
them all,
it's
bro.
bad that I haven't seen it, you get me? But with this one, I'm like, just on paper, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But
The British
my
tribe,
only
mate.
point is, there have been other shows where they've actually done it. Bruce Parry. You know, there's been loads of things commissioned by Channel 4. There was this woman that went to stay in this one village in Rwanda. I forget her name, Liv or something like that, white woman. And it's been done very respectfully. There was the guy who did it in Papua New Guinea. I've forgotten his name but it's always one white person goes into the jungle, lives with the tribe.
kind of learns.
And it's like very respectful. So I'm like, They
can
know
be
what they're
done.
doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need to go build a house that from Lincolnshire in the middle of the baby. Like, come on.
with free running water.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Mandela, what do you? No, you have enough. Mansor, what do you think?
I think, to echo Moses' point, I think Channel 4 in particular has a good foundation in terms of pushing the buttons when it comes to making shows that are provocative along ethno-racial lines or class lines. So it's definitely a deliberate thing, and they like that because it gives the show more coverage, if you like. We're talking about it, so we're almost doing them the service that they want. But the damage actually that shows like this have extends beyond the shows, because people watch these shows and they get the broad-based view of Western civilized and Eastern or African uncivilized. There's a whole theory on Orientalism which actually tackles this conception. That actually the basis of modern scientific medicinal thought actually originated from the non-Western side of the world. Shows like this, which are consumed en masse, negate a very real and sociocultural, historical reality, which is completely different. It's completely offensive, actually. It's completely sloppy. It's completely rude. I mean, I'll read to you the blur, like, I don't know if you call it a blurb or a review of episode 2.
Premise, go on.
Scarlett and her family learn all about the locals' views on sex and multiple partners and why it is best not to lose your cattle. I mean,
I think they know. Let's see that.
Come
that
on,
last
I'm
bit's a
saying they
troll.
know.
like they know.
That last bit's a, why it's best not to lose your cattle. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tried to add a joke in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You tried.
got it.
You made fun of something that is actually serious to them.
Exactly.
Why they can't lose their cattle. We're like, oh, look at them.
Yeah.
Like,
You
Like,
go
that's
look at
livelihood to
There's a-
people.
Yeah.
That's food, that's sustenance, that's almost
it's the-
monetary.
It's
almost.
the fact that they have. Okay. Like, I'm not saying like maybe the family there. They're saying the family are actually like kind of engaging and
No,
they're
they
nice
are.
to the people.
I
Yeah,
saw-
so
I
there's
watched
not.
it.
It's not the family itself, but it's the fact that they're taking just this normal family. That so they're not like a high class family that they made. No, like say if it was like some upper
they're
class
a-
family
no.
that's like really.
They're a lower to
that-
middle class family.
Yeah, it's just a
I mean,
normal family.
just-
So but
yeah.
in a way, they're just making them like seem like they're still even superior to you because they have running water.
Yeah.
They can do this. They
Yeah,
can
yeah,
do
yeah.
it. And it's like you see like it's just like the West is superior to it as you are. And
And the
And the thing
demographic
is,
that you choose for the family is important. If you choose a white working or lower middle class family, that's a big deal. You've chosen that family. If you chose
Yeah.
a working class Black American family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
mean so
the
much.
story is
the show-
completely different.
So
Our
it wouldn't
discussion
be-
is
It's
it wouldn't
different.
be the
nuanced
same.
because actually what you find is it's a low to middle class family that have gone there. So actually what you're saying is even in the West where this family should be in terms of strata, pretty much at the bottom.
But
even,
they would
even
be
the
higher.
people who are at the bottom of the pile are above you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'd still be above based on what you have,
Yeah.
what you can do. It's
Entirely.
and
They could have done it in a way where, on an anthropological perspective, they could have had engagement from two different families, one from the West and those who were the indigenous of Namibia, doing their day-to-day lives, and we could have still taken some of the vital information that we learned, some of the
And can I not stress this? This just came to my head. The fact of the matter is, like a show like this as well. It's on. I think they said episode. You said episode 2. So when was this show aired? Was it aired recently?
I haven't watched
Because
Yeah, so I think
no,
it was premiered 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
I
so
believe that's when I watched
now
it.
if that's an even another issue because it sounds like it's Black History Month or in October. It was Black History Month when they launched this show.
Yeah.
Why would you launch this show when it's Black History Month?
Yeah.
How in any way that it's like a small shot, like someone somewhere, especially in this day and age where they say everything offends everybody and we need to be PC.
hypersensitive and-
There's someone in there that must
Absolutely,
really think. Maybe hold off on this, or when someone pitched the idea, because whoever pitched the idea, let's move this family to a tribe. That'll be jokes.
The thing is,
It's like someone pitched that, and no one in there went, dude, do you know that might touch a nerve?
No, they knew.
they ignore
knew.
those voices because they like the hype.
But then again, this is the thing, and Black History Month, that just kind of annoyed me more now, thinking about Black
Well,
History.
to be honest
but then,
with you,
no,
it's
but I'm just saying, like, but
because
why
it-
is it even with the fact that even though black people continue to say, stop doing this, why is our cries not being heard? It's like, there's other things that it's like, we're not touching that right now. We will be destroyed if we touch this.
There are people who are saying, you say this, but it doesn't matter to us. It's funny. Actually, as I said to you, in terms of social political situations, you find that this show is going to raise intrigue from the undereducated, overprivileged classes who live in the outskirts.
But it's not going to help because it's got the family from Gogglebox, and the people that watch Gogglebox are also the people that...
It's not the family from Gogglebox. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about...
No, I'm saying the family from Gogglebox is the reason why people...
The people who are going to be intrigued by it are the same people who vote Brexit, who have a particular view of...
I'm saying the people that watch Gogglebox are usually the people that would watch this though, because they see someone from Gogglebox on the show.
It's an overspill. It's an overspill.
Yeah, so they'll bring those people.
Point to your question though, why is it still, in so many words, happening? Because I think there's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Is like, our tears are expensive.
Oh,
black people's like, when black people don't like things, we're very vocal. And that's capital. Whether it's like data, whether it's like, when this is why it keeps happening. Gucci, H&M, you can name all of them. What was the other? There was a Chinese Prada. There was some advert, the Pringles one. Like,
Pringles one.
There was a Pringles advert that I think it was Pringles.
Why are you talking? Let me try that.
Yeah.
Heineken did it.
But regardless, outrage is like the new. Data's the new oil, right? Black Twitter makes Twitter so much money on sort of data science level. So my point is like, what I wish we would realize is how actually wealthy we are with our opinions and our vocality as a black community. So shows like this, they want to get people riled up because one, not only does it help create discourse for them, it creates traffic. They can monetize that traffic. They don't care. I wish we'd be smart enough en masse not to give it the light of day, but behind the scenes, I'm suing. I'm doing this. I'm complaining. I'm talking to Ofcom. Like,
engage with the framework.
Exactly.
Engage with the framework, because actually, if Western folk do not like something, they engage with the framework.
But you need to talk. You need to talk. But
here's the thing, right? They engage with the legislature and get things changed in that way. Do you know what I mean? We kind of make noise about it, and and as
but one thing is, you do need to bring it up, though, don't you?
It does need to be brought up, but we have to start educating ourselves in the way in which we engage in it. So actually engage with the framework, and in order to be able to bring things down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than the way that we do it, as we're saying, we make noise, which creates traffic, which creates it becomes sensational, and when something becomes sensational,
it can be monetized.
It's monetized.
So how do we engage in this situation with this tribal show?
What I would say is my argument: engage on a peer-to-peer level. Andrew, did you see this thing? I don't think you're gonna like it. You know what you need to do? You need to write into Channel 4 or whatever.
Join this petition.
Yeah. All of this stuff, like, just on it. I think the minute it touches the internet, you lose. Sadly, obviously, the internet is a great thing to bring people together. It's a vehicle, but it also. It's almost like you're running into the arms of the person you're trying to bring down in a way. So I think we need to, again, educate ourselves on the tools. It's like, you can't fight them with their own weapon. Do you see what I'm saying? And like, I just wish people were more educated, because I'm like, I think the way to engage in it is, yes, talk about it.
But then right now, what you're doing, even though we're talking about it, you're correct. But what you're saying, telling people to engage, can also, on a platform, inspire people to actually take action and engage, as you're saying.
It can.
So you do need to talk about it as well.
It can. I'm not saying don't completely.
No, because like, we don't ignore it. Like you said, we have to obviously take it on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But if we engage as well, surely you can rally enough people.
I think you can. I'm not saying no. I just don't think we've got enough balance at the moment. I don't think there's enough offline engagement that's actually
productive.
Attacking the structural way we could bring this down. It's purely just Twitter fingers and I don't like this, and creating traffic for them. I think there needs to be a balance of both.
I think we're complicit in regards to furthering the problem rather than being part of the solution, and that's what we need to start engaging with.
Can I ask though? Yeah, like you said, peer engagement is a big thing, which is true. But then if I talk to Andrew, no disrespect, but who is Andrew?
No, but then this is the thing.
That's disrespect.
That's the exact same.
Get out of my house, bro.
Hold on, that's the exact. That is the exact same mindset that causes people not to vote, which means that we do not get a general sense of what the people are actually saying.
Let me
When
qualify
you
my
say
point.
Who is Andrew?
Oh,
or
yeah,
who
yeah.
am I? Actually, yeah, maybe let you land. Maybe you might.
Yeah. I'm not slamming you or not anybody. But what I'm saying is,
Just pick me.
we need people who already have a foot in to also be a bit more engaged and vocal with this discussion. Andrew is by mass
using me,
standards by mass standards, he's not really anybody.
Okay, this guy's got one more strike.
I'm not really anybody. But if we get
I
some,
disagree, but go on.
okay,
And
help me
and
because
once again,
this
I
isn't
feel
a-
like that's the mindset that stifles our growth, that stifles our movement. It's that assumption that Andrew is.
hold on.
Stop using me.
Go on, I'm listening.
Hold on. It's not that Andrew isn't important.
Stop
I'm not
this.
saying like give me like a famous black guy, woman on TV or whatever. It's not that they should be the only person or persons doing this. Andrew is important, but Andrew has to be important. Sorry again, as part of a wider movement that includes people who already have a foot in the door. It's not that I'm trying to put forward a mindset that normal, quote unquote, black people who aren't famous are not important, because clearly that's not true. You could argue,
very clearly.
you could argue they're more important than the quote unquote famous black people. But is there a line of argument that actually the people who have a foot in don't do enough themselves?
There's potential.
Agreed.
But what we can
Sorry,
do
but-
on our level is stop consuming these
Yeah.
things. So I'm saying when we get the word out, we can stop. I mean, there's things where it's like the H&M thing where we said, oh, because I don't shop at H&M anymore after that. But a lot of people would have been like, oh, that's racist. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, but they had a nice t-shirt. So it's like we consume it after a while. Gucci, we still consume it, and they're still showing their like, I'm wearing Gucci this, Gucci that. So that we're still consuming these things.
Man,
But
I
why?
feel
But
better,
we
man.
need to actively actually be serious about not consuming these things.
I wanted to talk about the 6-degree separation thing, right? Based on that, I will never assume that the person next to me, just because they do not have a certain status point, that they're not actually a person to reckon with. Because actually, we kept saying, oh, but then who's Andrew, for example? Do you get what I'm saying? But Andrew is somebody, because of 6 degrees of separation, he could be the closest link. Do you know what I'm saying? And not just to a famous black person, because this is what I have an issue with when we're talking about things in regards to race relations. So we have an issue with how Western white society view black people. Well, actually, Andrew can be the closest person to somebody in a place of power who is white, and Andrew could actually have a productive conversation with them based on the conversation that I would have had with him. So it's not about to say who's Andrew or who am I, because of that idea of 6 degrees of separation. You do not know who the next person knows. So
And
actually,
like, someone could be listening to this.
yeah,
I take that point. I take
Yeah.
that point.
yeah,
I take that
that's
point.
my only critique.
To add
Yeah.
to that as well, it's like I do agree with you, Mansor, to a degree. Don't get me wrong. There are other people we can look at, but I think like oftentimes that's looked at the only option. I think actually the power is more grassroots. There's
Sure.
a really good book called Growth Hacking, and like the continuous theme throughout it is the most powerful form of market. It's a marketing book. The most powerful form of marketing that can't really be quantified is word of mouth. Do you know what I mean? And you can see it with. There's loads of events I've been to that you'll never see advertised. There's loads of things you know about. Do you know what I mean? There's loads of foods we eat that we don't want to talk about to certain people because we don't want it to get inflated and gentrified. You know what I mean? Like word of mouth is very powerful, because if I just tell Andrew to tell one person, how long in the law of compound interest before we reach 1 million? I've ever showed you that thing of the pound that doubles every day.
No.
Do you see what I mean? Like if I
One
offered you-
person tells one person.
It's exactly,
Then
because it's like if I
basically-
if I gave you the option of £1 million now, or if I gave you the option of a penny that doubles in value every day, what would you take? A lot of people are like, oh, give me the
Say a
£1 million
million,
now.
yeah.
But the penny that doubles in value every day, we'll do the maths afterwards, it's ridiculous, right? And that's what I mean, like peer-to-peer is actually more powerful than you might imagine. I tell one person, he tells one person, in a week, we've got 1 million. Less than 1 million, you know what I mean? Just about 1 million. So that's why I'm like, oftentimes it's the same in politics. We look at people that may be in some sort of perceivable power with their foot in the door, when actually, this system is our system. You pay your license for this TV. You have a say. You own a part of this corporation to be like, I don't like this. We don't have to worry about whether it's an Akala or a whoever up there that we might think is close to these things. I have a say because I pay my, you know what, it's my TV that I'm paying for you to commission shows. So I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to tell Andrew
Yeah.
to use his voice.
Sure.
So that's why I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but I think often times we kind of see that as the only way, where I think actually the more powerful way is let's stop chatting about this on their platforms and creating traffic and data that they can use to monetize and further oppress us, rather than we actually be smart about this, step back and rally your troops. Be like, yo, I need you to do do this thing, and I guarantee you, if we work together, we can get offline. Do you know what I mean? And that goes for politics. That goes for everything.
These are really good points. Actually, from what I said originally, I take all of that on board. I think you've got a really good point.
And I don't disagree with you in a way. I think,
No, I think the two are complementary.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, famous people and quote unquote non-famous people. I use those terms loosely. But are we not doing that already? This sort of peer-to-peer engagement on social media platforms like Twitter.
I think we're doing it, but there's no end result.
Sure,
it's just
okay,
completely like talking and outrage. Where's the actual solution?
Because Black Twitter is big.
I think
huge.
it's about having a framework that actually gets results rather than wasting our time. I just literally wanted to say one more point in regards to some of these things. This program is not the only one. And actually,
it won't be the last.
We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves rather than, making noise about it this evening and then moving on to tomorrow night. It's about us taking our homelands, taking Africa, taking the Caribbean, taking Black America, and creating content. It's about us curating content that shows our greatness, that is not biased.
A counter-narrative.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
A counter-narrative that actually expresses who we are and the greatness that we are, instead of just making noise, pointless noise that we're not going to do anything about it. If we're not going to do anything about it, then we might as well just be unbothered and not say anything about it. Create the content. Be the change that you want to see. Be the narrative that you want to be described in a later tomorrow.
Yeah. You know what I would love to see? For every outrage that's come from whether it's a TV, fashion brand, I would love to see Black Twitter or whoever, this might be idealistic. Imagine if every time there was an outrage, they rallied all the lawyers to create their own class action lawsuit and rallied the people to sign as counter signatures behind it. So it's not just about I'm doing the law. It's like we are doing this lawsuit.
Yeah.
And these are imagine if there was a solution every time there was an outrage.
Yeah.
And that does happen in other communities. We just don't see it.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think outrage. Not saying you can't be outraged, but I think there needs to be a balance of what's the solution here.
Look at Russia, for example. This is really crazy. Do you know before the Olympics, they had videos that were created of them winning the Olympics? When was the last time these guys won the Olympics?
They win the shot put and stuff.
Look at the entire Olympics. Like I'm talking about, they've got gold medals in every arena.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Russia.
Look at North Korea.
North Korea's got some mad videos
Look
out
at
there.
North
I've seen
Korea's
them.
videos. North Korea has got videos of themselves in a
World Cup, winning the World Cup.
Winning the World Cup, all of this
Yeah.
stuff. So to be honest with you, even though it's not penetrated the majority of the West and not everyone has seen it, they have a mindset about themselves and who they are. Do you get what I mean? So actually, instead of us sitting there going, how can they portray Namibians like that? Well, actually, the people of Namibia, people of Southeast Africa, people of East Africa need to come together and be like, well, actually, let me show you, do you know what I mean, what makes sense with this stuff. Do you get what I mean? Because actually, then we get to see it unaltered, like it's not manipulated. Do you get what I mean? Rather than just making noise on Twitter. What are we doing when we're just making noise on Twitter? It makes them laugh, and once again, it generates them traffic, and they monetize that traffic. So actually, we need to counter it by actually creating content that shows who we are and the greatness that we are, and exactly what Moses is saying, fighting it through the framework that's been set up in order to get actual legislature to be changed, for things to be moved, for laws to be made. That's how we're going to do it. Otherwise, we're just making noise about things that we actually genuinely are passionate about, but then we're just not engaging with properly.
Yeah, I hear that.
Other communities do that really well.
That's it.
I won't name them.
Yeah. I'm kind of biting my tongue because I'm just like, yeah.
Don't bite it.
Nah,
Okay.
No. Let's not get into it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got time.
Huh?
We got time, yeah.
Well, you want to keep going?
Well, what we gonna do was the LisaRaye McCoy thing, innit?
Moses is big
Oh, yeah,
on
Lisa.
this.
But I don't know. If
But
especially because we're still on Africa as well.
Yes,
We can do like 10 minutes. Yeah, we got like 10 minutes.
So we have
I think,
issues. We have issues about cultural appropriation.
No, this was
and-
Moses. Let Moses bring it up.
So basically, I came across this thing. The actress LisaRaye. Is it LisaRaye McCoy or LisaRaye?
Yeah,
Yeah,
LisaRaye
yeah.
McCoy,
From
yeah.
all of us.
From all of us, yeah. Great actress, you know. I saw this morning, she has been, what would you say, ordained as
I don't know.
Queen Mother of Ghana
Mm.
by a brother called, what is it, King Yahweh.
King Yahweh.
And when I do some further research, this ceremony took place in Los Angeles. I don't think King Yahweh is even from Ghana. His symbology and stuff is very Aramaic. So to me, nothing on the surface looked like it had anything to do with Ghana.
Where did this?
I got an
Where
open
did
question.
this news come from?
I got an
Like,
open question. King Yahweh, who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to know. I don't know who
Is he a
King
king?
Yahweh.
Who
Who is King Yahweh?
Well, I was
And
just going through his
What is
Twitter
the
and
Queen
stuff.
Mother?
Well, these are more questions. I am not Ghanaian. So I was just engaging in the comments on Twitter. And, you know, just very, like, there's so many things I feel goes back to, like, don't get me wrong, like, it's tough. If you're African American, you know, I feel like in Britain we get a bit of we're kind of closer to the source sometimes, you know, because we're not that many generations away from parents that are born in Africa or so on and so forth. I feel it's very different in America. Like, they've had 400 years of separation sometimes, and you know. So I get when they're trying to reach out and do these things, but I'm a bit like, hang on a second. So you're Queen Mother of Ghana. What does that title mean? Who gave you that title? Did that person that gave you that title, were they eligible to give you that title? Which district are we? There's so many questions, like, me who's not even Ghanaian, I'd be asking. So I'm just like, the fact that this happened in Los Angeles by a guy, another African American who's not actually, by my knowledge, Ghanaian. He seems
By my
like
knowledge.
he just seems like a very hotepy guy. That, don't get me wrong, he might be doing activism and philanthropy
which is
abroad,
really
which is
much
great.
applauded. That's
You know, don't
fantastic.
get me wrong, but I'm like, do not ever overstep. In my opinion, like, there are actual chiefs, kings,
For
of
real.
people of different districts, towns, and regions all over Africa.
But
So it's
then,
never
but
my
this
place
title,
to
but this
put-
title is not
And
something where she can go to Ghana with.
the positions that they're given, whether it's via lineage, there's still a level of mandate that they have. There are traditions that are followed before ceremonies are done.
Yeah.
You know, throughout
tweets are
Africa.
protected.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, at which point did you get the mandate to become the Queen Mother of Ghana, entire Ghana, where you've got
How
so
did
many-
Lisa Ray get it, by the way?
We don't know.
Well,
Is she
apparently
married
So
to him or
she's
something?
a, she, no.
Apparently,
it's
she
not-
does
no.
philanthropy in
Yeah.
Ghana. Which
Yeah,
is great.
but-
Which
Yeah,
is fantastic.
but
And she brings, listen.
Is this Queen Mother like a knighthood?
No, it's not like a knighthood. This is the disrespect. This is the disrespect.
But from me,
You know what?
I'm asking,
You know what?
I'm asking a question,
He's-
bro.
King Yahweh's tweets are protected. They weren't
wasn't-
protected
they
this
wasn't
morning.
Are they
No.
protected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
You
been
could
on
see him
tweet-
before. You could see him
Let me tell
before.
Yeah,
something.
you can see them.
Let me tell you something, right? It is disrespectful to the people of Ghana because they are split into different regions of which their kingdoms are run in very different ways. So for you, LisaRaye McCoy from America, who's doing fantastic things, bringing attention to Ghana, kudos to you. That's great. For you to become the Queen Mother of Ghana, listen.
Of all of them, man.
Even
all
if she,
Ghana.
all of Ghana, even if she turned around and said, you know, my lineage is from Ghana, she's Ghanaian at some point by proxy. Do you know what I mean? And
But that's why I don't think it's a legitimate ceremony, 'cause why would it be in Los Angeles?
Which has been lost through 500 years of history. So actually, what we need to actually acknowledge is that this whole entire thing spits in the faces of the Ghanaians. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't do the
why it's
Ghanaians
protected.
any rights. And to be fair, once again, you're putting, even though it's a black person, you're putting the West in
Yeah.
in.
It's the same thing as like the Goggle, but well,
Come
tried next.
on.
That's what I mean. It's
on.
linked.
It's an appropriation of culture, and you cannot gain that title without having
Yeah.
gone through the process. I'm sorry. It's
And here's my
unacceptable.
thing: it's like, you know, this does happen, even if it was in Ghana. Like, I've seen, you know, there are times where it happens where Ghanaians also, or not just Ghanaians, Africans also play this game where it's like, yeah, come spend some money, we'll make you a chief or whatever. That does happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that happens not only in Africa, all over the world. Yeah, you could be a king of this land, like, you know, just donate some money to here and whatever.
I've known these chiefs that behave like this.
She was
I've
on,
known them personally.
LisaRaye McCoy was on Wendy Williams, and Wendy
After
Williams
she
was
became Queen Mother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
after she
yeah,
became
yeah.
Queen Mother, and Wendy Williams said, she said,
Does she believe her?
She said, wait. She said, you know, I heard that you became the Queen of Ghana. She said, no, Wendy, it's the Queen Mother of
And
Ghana.
everyone clap.
Yeah, nobody, like, well...
People are accepting it.
People
Shut
are
the
accepting
front
it,
door.
you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Did she
just
ask her
shut-
more about it? Did Wendy ask her more about it?
There was a whole show. It was a whole show, wasn't it?
Listen, this woman actually gave a whole speech.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to thank all the people that I didn't get to this point on my own. You know, this is what I'm saying. Just you engaging with it like that. Do you know what I mean? It's you're acting like you've been given an Oscar, which is what tells me that you are the wrong person in this position, and this position is not real.
Mandala,
It's not
Mandala,
existent.
I'm just
Mandala's
gonna say, can I
going
say it? I think you're disrespecting our Queen Mother.
The thing is, I'm quite upset now because while you guys have been talking, I've been looking on Twitter. All his
For
tweets
King
are
Yahweh.
protected.
Yeah, and they weren't a couple
So he's
of
saving
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Is he a real legit guy?
No,
He's
well, when I
I
was
want to
doing some
know.
research,
Because right now we don't know. We
Open
can't
question.
say.
Open question.
Is
King
King-
Yahweh,
King
who are
Yahweh-
you?
First of all,
Allegedly.
Yahweh.
Say anything allegedly.
King
because-
Yahweh, you do realize that it's a Hebrew.
Hebrew,
Yeah, of course.
Right,
Yes.
Yahweh,
Yes.
like
yeah.
that is not Ghanaian.
yeah,
No,
I
of
wouldn't
course
trust
not.
it as far as I could.
man.
Oh.
Even if you see the attire, there's no kente, there's no
It's not-
traditional
it's not
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
If you're talking about chieftaincy and royalty from Ghana, there wasn't enough gold. Full stop. I was just like, there were so many questions. He looks like. He looks more like a Moor, you know, like the way he's dressed, like the Moors.
I agree. Yeah.
When I did see his tweets and stuff, don't get me wrong, it does appear that he's very involved in philanthropic efforts.
He's got a website, by the way.
But to me, if I'm
Go on
honest,
it.
Sign up to be King
if
Mother.
I'm honest, it seems like fraud.
I want to sign up.
It seems like some scam, if I'm honest. But you know,
But who is he scamming?
I
Is
think
he
it's probably-
scamming LisaRaye?
Yeah, I think it's probably some mad Ponzi scheme where it's like, yeah, you got to donate to this
But is he
village.
scamming LisaRaye?
Yeah, because this.
But now look at her title.
No,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. That doesn't mean anything because her title's not valid by actual Ghana.
Can we
One.
Google who the last Queen Mother of
The
Ghana
Imperial
was,
Majesty
please?
King Yahweh, affectionately recognized as King Yahweh the Holy Ghost, is the founder of the Kingdom of Yahweh and several
So this
organizations
guy's the king. He's the king of Yahweh.
established to assist individuals who cannot assist
So
themselves.
she's the Queen Mother of Yahweh.
No, she's just the Queen
Mother
of Ghana.
But based on the fact that he ordained her in this,
Yeah.
she's the Queen Mother of.
Listen, I think it's a scam.
Of
I
course
think
it's a scam.
It's targeted,
where-
'cause you
Hang
do
on,
realise
hang on,
she was
hold on.
Yeah.
I think it's a situation where he's probably got some business account set up, maybe in Ghana, maybe offshore, whatever. He's like, yeah, you've got to donate to such and such place. The money's definitely coming back to my man.
Yeah.
And he's done the ceremony claiming he's off this place and like, yeah, you know, you're going to be a queen mother, you're going to be a chief, you're going to be this, but you've got to cut a check for this orphanage that I'm going to build. Whereas he's probably living in Beverly Hills and
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
He looks like he's
I
he's
think
well.
she was targeted. What I do know about LisaRaye is that she was the first lady of Turks and Caicos. So there must be
through marriage.
Yeah, through marriage.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But this is what I'm saying. I believe that she's been targeted in this instance because of that. And therefore, because this person would have engaged with the fact that, you know, you were the first lady of Turks and Caicos. You've got a lot of humanitarian things that you have done. We, of the people of Ghana, have chosen to call
She
you.
must already have had delusions of grandeur in her head. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, we need
Somebody
to put
needs
we
to
need
check
take
her.
everything
Yeah.
into consideration.
Yeah.
Her age,
Yeah.
you know, her status. Like, I believe that they found her at a bliss point of her. Sorry,
what I'm thinking about.
they found her at the bliss
You.
point of a crisis. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking for the people of Ghana.
King Yahweh of the kingdom of Yahweh. I can promise you, there's no kingdom called Yahweh in Ghana. I promise you.
This is
perfect
it.
crime because
It is,
they're
of course
both
it is.
narcissists.
Yeah.
When you deep it.
Yeah.
You want it so bad you've not even seen the reality of like the kingdom of Yahweh is appointed me queen and mother of Ghana.
Yeah.
The two just cannot work. You get me? But you've just believed it because You
Wrap
want
up.
some sort of validation for
And
stuff
they-
that is genuine.
They had the ceremony in Los Angeles.
In Los
Why
Angeles.
did they have it in Ghana?
Why do you?
Because there's no
think-
Yahweh.
Because
you
they
know,
would
do
have-
you know that my good man, what's his name? When he was given chieftaincy in
Skep.
Nigeria,
Skep,
he
yeah.
went to
He went.
Nigeria,
Yeah.
right?
Skep.
And he is a legitimate chief of a region in
Yeah, because of course
in
you will have the
Nigeria.
ceremony where you're
You
meant
have to
the-
have it in the place where it's from.
course,
They
yeah,
just
yeah.
they had a whole facade show in Los Angeles, in LA. Oh,
I mean, come on.
This is.
I mean, that sums it up.
She
Who
feels like
attended?
she feels like this is her new birth. I want to know, like, were people from different nations who are aware of all of Ghana's efforts and
Ghana don't know about this. That's why they're in Los
were
Angeles.
any of the chiefs, were any of the surrounding chiefs of
What's with the
because
soft focus on his face as well, by the way?
it's supposed to be of the
There's a
Ashanti
lot of soft
region.
focus on it.
It's supposed to be of the Ashanti region, right?
Yeah.
Were there any of the Ashanti people there to carry out their traditional rites and customs through their ceremonies?
I think there's a lot
In
of questions that
LA,
need
oh
answering.
for goodness
The
sake!
questions are
I'll
endless.
be watching. I just know that it's nonsense.
There's a lot
Well,
of
let's see
That's
how it
all.
goes.
That's all. What a mess.
And he's got a beard I don't trust.
What a mess.
He's got a beard I don't trust.
What a mess.
Yahweh, stand up.
King,
The answers.
King Yahweh of Ghana.
We are calling on you.
Kingdom of Ghana.
We are calling the
Kingdom-
Imperial
Kingdom-
Majesty
Queen
King,
Mother.
and then he's got some sort of like Hebrew thing at the top of his website.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Wow.
I don't trust when you can't even see where his nose starts in that picture. look at the soft focus on it.
Oh man.
And the thing is, it happened the day before her birthday. She's about to hemorrhage a lot of money. This person's about to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I hope, and I wish her the best and the best recovery when she realizes that this is all nonsense.
I'm not sure. I don't have sympathy for
Queen
people like this.
of Ghana, the entire country.
Queen Mother, Mandela.
Yeah.
Queen Mother.
Respect her.
I don't have sympathy. for
Where's
people
your
like this.
mandate?
All right then.
My goodness.
All right, that's another episode of Chatting Saltfish. Thanks for joining us, guys, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
It's Chatting Saltfish. You know where to listen to find us. It is on Chatting Saltfish on Twitter and Instagram, and you know where to listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Until next time, it's Chatting Saltfish everywhere. Peace.
Peace.